Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest crypto community in all of the interwebs. And we actually met up with the BitSquad last night at a little meetup. And real quick, I just want to throw a shout out to Legacy Shave. They came all the way out from Michigan to hang out with Ben and the crew last night. And this guy actually invented this device. It's, you know, you've seen the things with the brush at the end, you know, you see it like the old school barbershop, but he connected it to an aerosol can. He invented it. But yeah, I just wanted to give him a shout out real quick, man. It was really nice crew, really nice people, especially them. They're awesome. But welcome to Around the Blockchain. We're here Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, telling you the topics that you want to hear with your favorite guests, and we got a good one today. We're going to start things off with RiceTVx. They say he has the hottest chin hair in all of crypto, but not to be outdone by CryptoStache, who has, they say, the hottest upper lip hair in all of the interwebs. And then we got Rubens. You know what? He likes to sandwich that info in between the entertainment. So he's bringing you the information you want to see. Keeping it chrome dome like me is what Ben thinks I have, but I have hair, all right? We'll have a hat reveal, you know, one day. And then we also have Ben. He's there shaking his head. What's wrong, Ben? Why are you so red in the face over there?
Man, you're something, DZ. You're something. So you do have hair. I've never seen you without the hat off.
Yeah, you know, we got to keep it a secret.
I thought it was funny though that you were showing the shaving thing because you actually don't shave.
Well, you were trying to get me to shave your back, and I was like, no, not yet. You know, yeah. We'll do that on Saturday. You know what I mean? We got a show to run, and you know we're too busy.
Saturday's for the boys.
Saturday's for the boys. We all know that.
All right, only.
So make sure you go in the description, check all the channel links for the guests that we have. They all put out really great content. Go click on their links, smash the subscribe button, hit those like buttons, watch every single video that they've ever done over the weekend. And if not, well, are you even in the BitSquad? And just to let you know how the show works, if you like what the guests are saying, hit that +1 in chat, and we'll make sure to give them some points. But right now, we're going to start with the market watch, and things have been turning sideways a little bit, but looks like we're starting to see a little bit of hope. It looks like it retraced some of the gains that they had over the last hour, but Ethereum's kind of holding its own above 1900. Bitcoin right now, it looks like it's pushing up towards 32,000. It looks like 32 may have turned into resistance. And we also had Thorchain down 11%. And we're talking about Axie Infinity all week. It looks like they've taken a little bit of a stumble, paired off some of the gains. They were up almost 100% on the week. Now they're down about 10%, but still like an 80-90% gain for the 7 days. So it's looking really, really good. I want to bring it to you, Rice. What is it looking like heading into the weekend? Is there I know it's low volume. Is there anything you're worried about? Or, I mean, are you staying on the sidelines? What's your thoughts?
Lately, I've just honestly been staying on the sidelines. You know, as I said before, I don't really do a lot of technical analysis. So when I do trade, it's swing trading. And just lately, I haven't really been doing any trading. It's we're not really sure where the markets are headed. There's a lot of speculation amongst a lot of people about, are we going up? Are we going down? What's going to happen with the Grayscale trust when it unlocks, which we're going to get into. So there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of news coming out, but obviously, you know, the bulls are doing their best to be able to keep us from going down further.
Yeah, the bulls are on parade. But let's go right into our first topic. We're going to talk about, we're actually putting the topic that's in the title at the first, because I know you guys, you don't like it sometimes when you have to wait 15, 20 minutes but we're giving you gold throughout the whole show. But Grayscale, they're doing a huge unlock. I was looking at the data. Ben, you did say the 18th. I said the 17th. I saw both. I think you might be right. It might have been the 18th. So I'll have to hand it to you on that one. You know, I guess BitBoy knows his stuff. But they're doing a huge unlock over the weekend. Those who don't know Grayscale, they're a trust that owns 650,000 Bitcoins. And it looks like about 16,000 are going to be unlocked this weekend. And these are Bitcoin that people bought in January that's been locked up. But before we go too deep into what Grayscale is and a Grayscale Bitcoin trust, I want to bring it to you, Ben. Just a little background. So what is the difference between a Grayscale trust and an actual Bitcoin? Like, what is the differentiation between the two?
Yeah, so, you know, it just comes down to kind of a level of custodianship, almost. So when you own a Bitcoin, you can move it around. You own it. You can put it on a hot wallet or a cold wallet, or you can send it to someone as a transaction. But with Grayscale, it's not like that. You're basically buying a fractionalized synthetic version of a Bitcoin But the difference between Grayscale and some other kinds of synthetic assets is that Grayscale actually has a one-to-one Bitcoin, we call it a physical Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin's not physical, but a literal Bitcoin for every set of shares that they have. So it's actual real Bitcoin backing the trust. So this is really geared for stock investors who don't want actual exposure to Bitcoin, but want exposure to the potential the Bitcoin offers. So what they do is they will call up their broker and they will put money into the Bitcoin trust. I think, if I remember correctly, I don't think I own any Grayscale, but I believe it's like 1/100th of a Bitcoin is a share. So they divide a Bitcoin into 100 shares, I believe. I think that's right. Maybe it's 1,000. It is 100. That's correct. So anyways, they divide into a bunch of different fractions, and this is just a way for traditional investors to get access to Bitcoin without actually owning Bitcoin. But this starts the rabbit hole for a lot of people where they start understanding like, oh, like I'm exposed to Bitcoin, but I don't actually own any. A lot of people I know that are in crypto, they started by getting into the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and eventually moved to actual ownership of Bitcoin, which is a good thing.
So you don't own any Grayscale, but I saw that big toe of yours. It looks like with the bandage wrapped around it is an actual thing. You might have some Grayscales growing on that thing, so we might need to get Decker to go in there. I don't know if he's left the office yet, but he might be able to help you out with that. Rubens, I want to bring it to you.
I had a toenail removed. I had my toenail removed.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have Grayscales, people. He's not a lizard, man. He's fighting the lizard. Anyways, so Rubens, I want to bring it to you. Why would someone want to put their... So, like, if you had a 401k, some people... They have a 401k through their employer, they're getting matched. They're not going to just stop putting money in their 401k. Would you recommend like Grayscale is a good hedge, if you're stuck in the 401k traditional system? Is that a good way to get some exposure to crypto?
Well, first, thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it. And you are hilarious. So really liking the hosting.
Oh, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
But no, I would not do Grayscale. I would recommend something like BlockFi and USDC. I know we'll get later into Tether, but no, I would not do Grayscale. If you're going to own crypto, you might as well own crypto and get USDC, get some, interest off of it rather than fractional shares.
Okay, so if you did have a 401k and say, you're putting in your 3% and your employer matched you 3%, you wouldn't even want to put it in that case to get a little free exposure to Bitcoin? Or you just say, I will keep all 3% and, go with the BlockFi traditional.
So that's actually what I did. Like, I don't actually even have a 401k period. I actually just put away my own money in USDC and use that as my 401k.
Okay. All right. So a little bit of the facts on January. So like I said, these people bought these Grayscale Bitcoin trusts in January. It was locked for 6 months. And we're looking at the data. It seems like a lot of these buyers are actually underwater. So you're seeing a lot of FUDs saying, oh, they're all going to sell. They're all going to sell. The average price, it was touching 40,000 several times in January. I looked at the actual date of 6 months ago. It looks like it was 37,000. It was right below like 36.9, depending on what part of the day. So I want to bring it to you, Stache. If these people are underwater, it's unlocked. What do you foresee them doing? Are they going to buy more, to match the allocation, or are they just going to panic sell? Do they have paper hands?
Well, first of all, they all have paper hands, man. These are suckers that are buying stocks that are fractionalized Bitcoin. Like Ruben said, man, if you're going to get into crypto, into Bitcoin, get into crypto and Bitcoin. Opt out of the horrible, shitty financial system that we're all stuck in right now, and don't opt into, giving the Grayscale a greater position in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. I feel like there's way more risk in that side than there is if you're just holding it yourself as a custodian. But I think one of the things that is a big misconception about this Grayscale unlocking is that there's no real Bitcoin that's going to be hitting the market, especially with the conditions that are going on right now with this particular unlocking. So like you said, most of the people who bought into this Grayscale trust in the January time, they're underwater right now. And those Bitcoins they're not going out into the system. So it's not like, oh my gosh, the Bitcoin Grayscale, the trust, it's unlocking, all the Bitcoins are going to be, people are going to be selling. Well, what they're selling is actually GBTC, and this is not something that's actually going to hit the market. Now, what we might actually see is this might create an uptrend in Bitcoin because of all the premiums that Grayscale has had to pay people over the same period. in contrast to the NAV, which is a native asset value of Bitcoin, which has essentially decreased since then. And so they may actually have to buy more Bitcoin to be able to cover that if people are going to keep these positions. Now, I mean, me personally, I don't know why anybody would sell, and most of these people who have invested are institutional investors. These are people who have probably already shorted their some positions to kind of hedge against any kind of volatility that they may have seen in the last 6 months. So I think that a lot of these positions are fairly safe, and if anything, I think it actually might provide a little bit of upward momentum for Bitcoin, because they may have to go to the OTC markets or go to maybe even regular markets and pick up extra Bitcoin. So no, I don't think that grabbing Grayscale GBTC makes a lot of sense, and I don't think that me personally, I wouldn't be trusting them with any of my damn money. Like I said, Bitcoin is made to be something that allows you to have an option and opt out of the horrible system we have right now. And then you say, well, what if you're stuck there, Stache? What if you're stuck in an IRA? What do you do then? There are actually Bitcoin IRAs. I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can actually go with a company that will take your money and invest it into Bitcoin for you through an IRA in the same sort of structure you have right now. Yeah. So there are options out there that are way better than going the GPTC route.
Yeah, so if you're stuck kind of like a crumb in his mustache, you're not actually that stuck. You can be combed out. You can go somewhere else. There's other allocations, like you said, with the IRAs there. So you will be fine with that. So since you're mentioning swing trading Rice, I want to bring up, we've heard of the Coinbase effect. It's kind of diminished over time, but Coinbase would list a coin, it would just immediately pump. Previously, there was a Grayscale effect. If you guys remember, I think it was around March, April, there would be a rumor, just a rumination of, Grayscale signed an LLC with, Chainlink in it in Connecticut, and just an LLC to form a website to do a thing. And there's no official movement as far as they're buying, but just the rumor was enough to pump a market. So, Rice, I want to bring it to you. Is that effect now dead? What is going on with, with the Grayscale rumors? We're jumping in a coin, it starts to pump. I mean, have they just bought what they want to buy? Are we not going to see that anymore?
I mean, it's really interesting to see how it has been lately, because it doesn't really seem like a whole lot is really affecting the market up or down. It just seems like the traders, the bears, and the bulls are just kind of doing their thing. Yeah. Nothing that we're seeing. I mean, we're seeing some great positive news come out. We're seeing nations adopting Bitcoin, which is super bullish. Then we're hearing the FUD about the China FUD. And if you really look, we've kind of just stayed in a specific range. And when it comes to the Grayscale thing, I know there's a lot of talk about this turning into possibly an ETF, which I don't agree that ETFs are even positive for any market. The idea of someone wanting to pay a 30% premium for custodianship so that they don't have to have hands-on exposure to any of this stuff doesn't make any sense. And it really just shows you the negligence and the lack of education on the parts of the people that are doing these investments. Because GBTC is not Bitcoin like it's been mentioned. And Stache has done a great job explaining about the IRAs and other things that are available, but these are just shares of Grayscale Bitcoin. No actual Bitcoin has been mentioned. And it's really interesting how we could see a price uptick because people are looking to cover themselves by actually hedging with owning real Bitcoin. And then you got to think the fact that a lot of people, if they would be selling, as soon as this gets unlocked, they would be selling at a loss, which is not something that you see a lot of people wanting to do. They're selling at losses. So I don't see that taking place either. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. And also, it's either the 17th or 18th that we're having this big unlock, but there's several unlocks taking place this month. Yeah. This is just the biggest one of them all. So it's just going to be interesting to pay attention to overall.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes in the long term. Ben, I'm going to bring it to you real quick. He mentioned an institution. It's funny, there's actually a senator that bought some Grayscale trusts. They bought 15 times as much Ethereum as Bitcoin, which is pretty interesting if you think about it. So there's a summer lull with, the markets. Like he was saying, it's not going up, it's not going down. So the retail is mostly what experiences the summer lull. The retail, I don't know if it's due to tax season, Christmas, what goes on. But are institutions immune to the summer lull, or is this just something retail specific?
Well, I would like to say that I want to be very clear on this. I do not believe the summer lull is because of Christmas.
Okay. Well, you know,
don't
it
think
spikes
I don't
in
think that
the
factors
winter,
into it.
so it would be an inverse
Yeah.
effect.
Okay, I'm just saying the summer lull is not due to Christmas. I want to be very clear on that for sure.
Yes, yes.
That's maybe Christmas in July. Yeah, I think that
By
it
July,
is-
it's going high, by the way.
Yeah, it's do or die July. It's getting time to.
You guys
do or
know
we're
it is
gonna
the
die.
middle of July, right? You know it's the middle of July.
It's not
It is.
Well,
Christmas.
technically, it's a day
Yeah.
past the middle.
Yeah,
So
you
we're
got
actually
2 more
on
weeks.
the downtrend.
I'm with you. I'm just saying we don't got a lot of time to see that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's time to do or die right now. So we've got
Yeah,
about
yeah.
by the end of next week, I think we need to start seeing things moving up, or else we got to start, reversing course. But just in terms of your question, I do think that the institutions do take time off. I think that they're not 100. I think that basically what they understand is that when the retail investors are, look, it's people going on vacation, people having their kids at home, people having to find other stuff to do. Everybody, especially for people that are like doing well financially, the summers when you go on trips, you do all kinds of stuff. Then you factor in, you've got the pandemic that's kind of like slowing down almost to a halt. I mean, actually, they just said mass in LA again this morning. So we'll see what happens. I'm actually going out to Disney in Anaheim here in a couple of weeks. So hopefully, everything's fine. But this summer specifically, like people have been wanting to travel more than ever because of what happened last summer. So I think there is something to that. But the institutions don't have to work as hard either to manipulate during these times, during these summer lulls as well, because the retail volume's not there. So it doesn't take as much work. So, I think there is something to this. And I think if we actually look back at what happened last summer with DeFi, where everybody was so central on DeFi, well, that was all retail driven. Everybody was sitting at home doing nothing. Nobody could really go anywhere unless you lived here in Georgia. We could do some things, but most places everybody was stuck inside, and that may have actually, factored into the whole thing last summer that was buzzing. But it wasn't Bitcoin that was buzzing last summer. It was just all DeFi projects.
Yeah, so BitBoy, he knows what you're doing last summer, so watch out for any people that have a hook on their hand. All right, we're going to go to our second topic here, the bipartisan crypto bills. That's an old reference, I apologize, but I used to love some Sarah Michelle Gellar. So the bipartisan crypto bill is called the Securities Clarity Act, and it's aimed at providing some guardrails for crypto projects. They're going to basically stay on the right side of the SEC, those looking to work with regulators. And they tried to pass it last winter, and it did not pass. It was actually September, but it didn't have bipartisan support. It was just supported by one side. Now it's supported by both sides, which greatly, if you know anything about U.S. politics, greatly increases the odds that it might pass. You can't really just do things on one side here. So, Rubens, I want to bring it to you. It seems like we're trying to play catch up, but are we ever going to be forward thinking enough to catch up with some of these other countries, such as like Malta or the Philippines, or is the U.S. always just going to be lagging behind?
When it comes to this, we're going to be lagging behind because we're super cautious. I'm going to be on the fence of where I think it's very necessary. Like they said, it's guardrails for cryptocurrency, and I think a lot of these projects need it. There's been a lot of pump and dump. There's been a lot of rug pulls. And should people do their due diligence and research these projects? Sure. Should they come around and watch around the blockchain Monday through Friday, 5 p.m.? Yes. Will they? No. I mean, people watching this will because we have that audience, right? So they're going to pay attention. But the average Joe is not going to do that. They're the ones that's buying those itch coins or buying low, selling high. So anything we can do or anything the U.S. can do to make it easier for them and make it feel safer for them to invest, I think it's very necessary and it's going to help the price go up. And it's super helpful now that you have senators investing in cryptocurrency. I don't know, I could raise a question. I wonder how much conflict of interest there is in pushing some of these bills if you have senators investing in them. But that's for another
Senators and investments, conflict of interest? Never.
I mean, come on, that's kind of
Never.
standard operation right here in the United States, right? I mean,
They were right on track.
Lobbying is huge here. That's how it goes. You can't lobby unless you got some vested interest there.
And before we get too much into it, so, there's a big difference between securities and what are like regular tokens being released. So a security is basically like an investment contract. It's not so much a company token. Just for the people who have a little bit of a lack of knowledge on what a security is, Ben, I mean, maybe even use like XRP as an example. Can you explain the difference between just like typical coin and a security?
Well, I mean, there's very few actual security tokens. Well, you got to be careful. There are security tokens that are something totally different, but there's actually been very few securities that have been launched here in the United States that are in crypto. I think only 2. I think you had one blockchain boy was talking about that I can't remember what it is. And then I know Blockstack actually put out one that was like, I think it's called like A certified by the SEC, something like that. But here's what it basically boils down to. What is a security? A security is something that you invest money in and you expect a return on. And a lot of this is based on something called the Howey test. I was hoping I could pull up the, here it is. So basically, the Supreme Court established 4 criteria to determine whether an investment contract exists, and this equals a security. So it involves something that's, number 1, an investment of money, number 2, in a common enterprise, number 3, with the expectation of profit, and number 4, to be derived from the efforts of others. So if it doesn't pass all 4 of those tests or all 4 of those questions, it's deemed to be a security. And if it's a security, then the rules are all different for what you can do. It's governed by the SEC instead of governed by the CFTC. So that's basically what a security is. And so with XRP, the idea is that Ripple says XRP is a utility token. If something has utility, then it can't necessarily be a security. So if it's used to do something and achieve a goal, then that takes it out of that range. And Ripple says, hey, our XRP token, that's what settles the cross-border transactions, so it can't actually be a security. But what the SEC is saying is, okay, it may do that now, but in the beginning, you sold it to people with the hope that they would be able to invest money in it and make a return, and that does make it a security. When it comes to crypto, though, we have something very interesting that you don't really see in the traditional securities markets over the years or the history of securities, which is decentralization adds a whole new factor. Because if you actually look at Ethereum itself, Ethereum could very easily have been considered a security because people were investing in the ICO not because they even understood what the utility of Ethereum would eventually be. They were investing in it to get a return. But the problem is why the SEC basically had to come out. William Hinman, who's now got to do the deposition for the SEC lawsuit versus Ripple, he said, well, basically, it's too decentralized. Like, there's not a very small group of people that are benefiting from this at this point. There are too many address holders. There are too many people who have invested in it. So there's not just a very small group of people at the top that are going to get all the benefits from this. With Ripple, what they're saying is that Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse each made $500 million, and they did get the giant benefit of selling the tokens, which, by the way, no one has made more money out of XRP than Jed McCaleb, who also in charge of Mt. Gox and passed it over to a scammer and let that thing crash and almost ruin Bitcoin, involved in the security sale of XRP, but suddenly he just left out. He left the company, so he's not in the lawsuit. Makes me think he's probably a whistleblower in this whole thing. So meanwhile, while this is going on, he's still dumping all his millions of tokens. This guy has made billions of dollars from the XRP token sale. So that's what a security is. That's what's going on with XRP. That's what they're accusing them of. I ultimately, you guys know if you watch this channel where I stand on this, I don't think it is a security.
Yeah, hot take right there. I like it. And Stache, I'm gonna bring it to you. Seems like you have some hot takes on this one as well, or this particular topic here. So like I said, it tried to pass last September. It got stuck in committee. The committee was called the House Committee on Financial Services. Never got taken up. But now we're getting a little bit of lobbying from some crypto-friendly groups, Chamber of Digital Commerce, Blockchain Association, Coin Center. I want to ask you, Stache, if big banks do become involved in, these giant lobbying firms, is that actually going to be a good thing for crypto since they can bribe, mispronounce, so they can lobby the politicians and get them to pass the favorable legislation?
I mean, I think that no matter how it gets passed, we need something, right? If it has to come down to lobbying, aka bribing any of your local senators to get this thing passed, please, guys, go out there and spend your Bitcoin and bribe the hell out of these people. I mean, that's how things are done here in the United States. Make no mistake. I know everyone's like, oh, we don't want to say it like that, but that is exactly what's happening, and they do it for every other industry all the time, and it's been like that forever. Now, do I like it? No, I don't. Do I think it's going to end anytime soon? Probably not. Yeah. Now, why does that mean that we in cryptocurrency can't be taking advantage of that bullshit stuff going down? We should be. But what it really comes down to is however it gets passed, the SEC needs to make a move here. They need to be providing some sort of clarity. Even Hester Pierce has said that we need to put something out there. We got to get past this, kind of broken up piecemeal type of regulation that they've kind of put out there. A couple memos here and there. There needs to be something clear and concrete, because as Rubens was saying, that will give not only retail investors and institutional investors more clarity and more confidence in investing in cryptocurrencies, but it's also going to give more clarity and confidence to projects. That's a big thing that a lot of people forget and leave out a lot of times, is all these projects out there, these companies that are creating, that are developing and trying to push and further this space in the United States are at a disadvantage. We're at a huge disadvantage when it comes to development in our country because of this very large gray area around regulation, around token securities, and whether whether a token is like a security or it should be separate from its underlying contract that would be considered security, and the token isn't part of that. And so I think that this new version, it's newish version, it's basically the same thing that was launched in 2020. But with just a little slight massage of the wording, which I think is a good way to go about this, and the fact that it has bipartisan support now, I do think that this is the time that we're going to see the SEC roll out this regulation and a whole complex framework that they've been working on hopefully for years. I mean, I want to give them that credit. I don't know if they really deserve that much credit. But I think we're going to see that, and I think that may lead into these ETFs being approved that they've been kind of waiting the wings. But whatever happens, we need it. People have been calling for it from both sides, and even within all these regulatory bodies have been calling for it. Why is it taking so long? Why are they holding things up? What is going on behind the scenes? That's really one of the biggest questions that I think not many people are answering. What has been the delay? Why are they really delaying on this? It's not because they're just bumbling in it. They are, but there's other reasons I think beyond that too.
Yeah, and speaking of delaying, I'm gonna bring it to you, Rice, in a second here. So speaking of delaying, Senator Warren, she actually gave a deadline of the 28th of this month for the SEC to answer some questions regarding crypto. So Rice, I want to bring it to you. Could Senator Warren speeding up the process actually be a good thing for crypto, or are we rushing into it a little too quickly? There's going to be too much misinformation, and maybe it ends up going the wrong way. What's your take on that?
I believe that a lot of the politicians are educated at this point, and we have a lot of lobbying groups out there educating as well. So I don't necessarily think that it's rushing any decisions, because we've seen legislation being introduced in a lot of different aspects when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain. Now, what's really important about this, and Ben kind of touched on the Howey test, is that the SEC and securities were created in the 1933 Securities Act. And the Howey test was in 1946 when it was the SEC versus W.J. Howey and Company. And 1946 is quite a bit of time. A lot of people are saying that it's kind of an antiquated way of determining whether something is a security. And then when it comes to the utility aspect, that's something else that we need to have clarification. So this was introduced back in September of 2020. And the reason it didn't even make any headward action is because it was introduced by a Republican and it had a Democrat majority in the House. So that causes a lot of issues. Now that we've seen the election turn out the way it did, and you're getting different people being elected, now you're seeing this thing being reintroduced with slight variants and changes, as Stache said, so that now it got the bipartisan support. We're seeing a lot more politicians coming out in support of cryptocurrency, even though we still have some people like Brad Sherman out there that still exist. But I think there's more of the people that are pro-crypto than there are otherwise. Being that we're dealing with outdated definitions and terms, I agree with what Ben said about the SEC and Ethereum, because they said that basically Ethereum would have been a security, but it had enough time to get decentralized. And I'd like to think that the SEC is actually giving a lot of projects time to become decentralized. And that's kind of, I think, one of the things that hopefully we'll get in some of this clarity. I'm not a big fan of regulation. I'm a big fan of the free market, but unfortunately, this is just something that is inevitable and it's going to happen. So what we need to do as people who are fans of cryptocurrency, who believe in this technology, blockchain technology, is also get involved in the election process. Get involved in contacting your senator and your congressman. and let them know how you feel about these things, because these individuals are supposed to be your constituents representing your vote. So make sure you make your voice be heard, because ultimately these are our public servants, and we need to make that known to these individuals.
Yeah, no, I like that. You know, it's always good to get involved, especially on a local level, because that's where you're really going to see the, you know, the effect take place. Now, I'm going to do a quick rapid fire question. I'm going to ask all four of you. I'm going to start with Rubens, go around. Yes or no, are we going to have more favorable legislation 1 year from now? Rubens, what do you say, yes or no?
Definitely yes, because I think they need that before they can release the digital dollar.
I like it. Rice, what do you say, yes or no? We're going to have more favorable?
Yes, 100%.
All right.
Be competitive. I mean, we're seeing all this stuff happening around the world. We need to remain competitive, and there's the pressures being put on the politicians to let the US remain competitive.
I like it. Let's bring it to Stache here. Stache, what do you say? Yes or no? We're going to be more favorable?
I think they probably will have it. I don't know how much I'm going to favor it, but it'll be there.
Okay, and
I say yes. I say yes.
We'll end with Papa Ben here. What do you say?
Nope.
No, nope. All right. I had a feeling you were going to say no there. All right. Well, let's go to our last topic here. Where, oh, where has all the Tether gone? Oh, Tether, where art thou? Speaking of, you know what? Do you use Dapper Dan on your mustache stash? Anyways, that's a whole other topic there. Rubens, I want to stick with you here. We're talking about Tether. A lot of people, you know, I just want to give a little background for some of the people who might not totally understand what is a stablecoin.
Oh, so a stable coin is, for me, is something that's back to the dollar. And to answer what it is as far as the regulation, I think there's pressure around the world that's slowing it down. And I think it may sound like cliche, but like where there's fire, there's smoke. And in most cases, even if there's no fire, you're going to get burnt. Now, particularly with Tether coin, I personally think it was just like printing money. And that's what pushed Bitcoin up, right? So I don't trust Tether. A lot of people don't trust Tether. And I prefer USDC as my stable coin of choice. I know there can be an argument for it saying it is centralized. I mean, you know what? It may be, but I trust it, and I prefer that than Tether coin, which is just thin air, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. Where there's smoke,
and not really a stable coin, in my opinion.
I like that. Where there's smoke, even if there's no fire, you might get burnt. That's a good one. I like that right there. All right, so Stache, I'm gonna bring it to you. So, you know, you've been in this market for a while. When Tether would print their Tether, Bitcoin would pump. We saw it time and time again. You know, oh, Tether printed 2 billion, and next thing you know, like, oh, what do you know? There's a big green candle, and it happened over and over again. You know, a lot of people were saying a lot of the bears, they would say, Bitcoin only pumps because of Tether's money machine. Is it possible for it to pump without Tether?
You guys do realize there was a time, many years, without a stablecoin.
I know you're going to go there.
Bitcoin pumped many times without there being a USDT ever on the market. So what can it happen? Of course, it's definitely happened. Now, do I feel like it's been a contributing factor? Yeah, it definitely has. And you know, they like to make that money printer just go. Brrrr. But I do think that, you know, without Tether being really the first, you know, whether you want to call it a genuine stablecoin or not, or whether you think that there's some sort of, you know, stuff behind what they've been doing and that it's not you know, legit 100%, it has sparked the obvious need that we have for stablecoins in the industry, and therefore a bunch of other stablecoins have also popped up. So, you know, my favorite one, just we're throwing here, is BUSD. So I've been using BUSD a lot, but also I use all of them: USDC, BUSD, and also USDT. But I think that there's a need for that. You know, people want to be able to jump around from a Bitcoin and then, you know, essentially hedge that, or I'm not gonna hedge it, but you know, jump out of the volatility by converting to Tether at a certain point, so they can then, you know, ride that wave down or whatever it may be, and then jump back in when they need to. And so it provides a pretty, you know, specific and much needed function within the cryptocurrency industry. So I don't see it going away anytime soon. I don't think that there's much that, you know, people could do to Tether that is really going to change its trajectory as being the top, you know, stablecoin at this point. But I do think that there is a pretty big factor on when they start to do these printing, you know, sprees. We'll call them printing sprees. And then kind of the correlations to Bitcoin's price. But there's, you know, there's lots of factors out there. It's not always just going to be, okay, well, Tether 100% controls the price of Bitcoin. but it does help in determining a lot of what's going on in the market, just like some of these other things. And you factor in people like Elon Musk tweeting at things, and then, FUD like we're seeing today with this Grayscale trust, Bitcoin unlocking. These are all things that people push around, and a lot of it becomes self-fulfilling because even though it's not necessarily true, there's so many people who get on board and they trade based upon this FUD.
Yeah, and BJ/Moltar, if you want to bring that picture up in a little bit, you can't really mention Tether without mentioning China. It's one of the favorite coins of the country. There's Ben right there with Justin's son. It enjoys the dominance with the traders and investors. It's as we all know, it's been illegal in there forever, but a lot of times they would use Tether with the over-the-counter Bitcoin buying companies and everything. And last month they arrested over 1,000 people. They said it was for, they said for money laundering charges, alleging they use crypto to help them evade the law. So Ben, I want to ask your thoughts right quick. I know you have certain feelings on Tether. What are your thoughts on Tether as far as its stability?
I mean, it's stable. It's been clearly stable forever. Like, it's a stable coin.
I've seen 0.9997 before.
Yeah, and there's like some people that try to arbitrage those stable.
Don't trade that. Yeah, there's people who are trying to arbitrage it. He's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. I ain't got time for that. You know what I mean? But the thing is, when it comes to Tether, there's just so much FUD around it, but it just keeps working, and it's gonna keep working. And they've already had a lawsuit. It's been over. But Tether's days are numbered in the long-term scheme. It's days of being the #1 stable coin. USDC will become the #1 stable coin. If you watch our digital currency group yesterday, you understand why, which is because, they want a digital currency group has got a huge stake in Coinbase. They want USDC to be the global payment network coin. They want to use that to propel the dollar forward. It's going to factor into deflation, I believe. They're basically just going to, like Jeb was talking to the other day, right now, we got a house with no foundation when it comes to the inflation. Well, they're just going to build a whole new house. And I think USDC is going to have a big role to play there. So Tether has continually lost market share. It hasn't been a drastic drop, but, USDC is eating away. I mean, now USDC, I believe, is in the top 10, isn't it? Yeah, it's number 7.
Yes, yeah.
I remember when Tether was number 7. I remember when Tether was barely in the top 10. So USDC has just been rising up, faster than ever. The Binance dollar is not too far behind it as well. And I do want to address one thing you were talking about a little bit earlier with Tether, which was, the idea that they artificially pumped the price of Bitcoin up to $20,000 in 2017 by printing all these Tether grants. Well, are we saying that's what happened during this cycle? Is there not genuine excitement? I get so sick of people saying that Tether was the whole bull market. That's so dumb. No, that's obviously not true. We saw what happened in this bull market. It went even higher by a long shot, and we believe it's still going to go much higher than that. So we keep shooting holes in these narratives, and people just keep pushing it. The fact is, the people that were printing the Tether, it's from Bitfinex. So they saw the volume coming into the exchanges. They saw the outflows. They saw the inflows. And they were just anticipating the demand that was later going to come as you got further into the bull cycle. It's all like crypto 101 stuff. And the people that push these narratives about Tether, being unstable, about, Tether not having the money to back it, which it clearly does now at this point, whether it always did is a different question. Yeah. They just don't know what they're talking about. And, I feel like we talked this till we're blue in the face. It's low IQ people trying to make sense of something they can't understand.
Yeah, and it's a story they just keep saying over and over the years, and nothing's changed. And they had a slight audit, and they they seem to be passing with flying colors. Rubens, I want to bring it to you here. So there is a difference between Tether. You're speaking about staking stable coins. I know BlockFi, for instance. I'm not sure the exact percentage. I think it's about 0.5%. So by staking Tether over USDC, you can get that extra 0.5% on your APR there. Would you recommend, to someone who does want to stake some stable coins, would you recommend that 0.5% is worth it, or would you just say play it safe, go with USDC?
I would play it safe and go USDC.
Okay.
I definitely would. I wouldn't stake in Tether.
Okay. Any particular reason? What makes you say that money is worth leaving on the table?
So, like I said, right, it's better to have something secure than have that wonder. This is your money. This is your cash. You have your own thoughts on it, and you treasure it, right? So if I'm not 100% confident in something, I'm not going to invest into it.
Okay.
I think everyone should do. And with BlockFi, which I just got my BlockFi credit card, which I'm very happy with, I can just swipe it and get some Bitcoin on there and sell points. Really, really nice. I think they're up to, don't quote me, I think it's 7% right now in USDC, if you have it in there as far as interest.
Yeah, and I was looking at some stats. It says about 50% of USDC supply is locked in smart contracts. Tether, only 20%. So, I mean, you're looking at, it's a pretty significant difference. Tether, favorite amongst the traders, getting in and out of coins. USDC, clearly the favorite of traditional, the DeFi plays and all that. So I know how Ben feels on this. Rice, I want to ask your opinion. So we're saying, USDC is the 7th market cap. Well, right now, Tether is the 3rd largest market cap in the entire world. It's at around 62 billion right now. I think the next lowest is Binance in the 40s, so you're almost looking at a 50% gain like right there. Is there any chance of, Tether being the 2nd or maybe even the largest crypto in the world? Like, could we ever print enough Tether where it has a higher market cap than Bitcoin? Or are the vultures starting to circle? No pun intended.
Well, I think in the case of stable coins, you've got to also pay attention, like what's actually going on with the actual printing of money too, because we've just seen like Wells Fargo cut personal lines of credit. Banks have an overstock of cash right now, so it kind of makes sense in a sense why they wouldn't print in the past 3 weeks. Is Tether possibly going to go down in market cap and maybe other stable coins taking a higher position? I would definitely say so, yes. And Tether has served a purpose though. As Ben has mentioned, I mean, it has been a stable coin. It's acted as a stable coin, whether or not the allegations and all the speculations and all the investigations, whether or not they cleared everything up before it all kind of came down to the wire, it still has served its purpose, just like Silk Road has served its purpose ultimately. Now, is Tether part of the old fintech club that's trying to take over, like with Digital Currency Group? Are they being pushed out of that spot? Are institutions using USDC versus USDT? USDT is backed, but it's not backed dollar for dollar. It's backed with a kind of a combination of bonds, commodities, and a stack of different things, whereas USDC is 100% backed dollar for dollar. But at the same token, USDC was originally created by Circle, partnered up with Coinbase, and who is the owned Circle? Goldman Sachs. So if you really think about it, Goldman Sachs is definitely in that old fintech club, the old fin. So as Ben likes to say, I really like that term, old fin. And I just feel like they're trying to take over this market. We've seen this happening. We've seen it happen like with Bitcoin being stifled with Blockstream. The old institutions realize that it's the end of finance 1.0, and they're trying to remain relevant. And as long as these Joseph Lubins and other companies are going to keep working with these banks and make them relevant and create smart contracts to replace SWIFT networks and things to that effect, then they're going to keep remaining relevant, and they'll just keep buying everybody off in the space and take away the purity that we have. So it's really time for people to really stand up for what they actually believe in and actually take a stand, because we are at a really pivotal time period in history.
Yeah, and we're in Atlanta, so as Ludacris says, stand up. And let's keep it on USDC here for a second. If you want to bring that picture up one more time, So Justin Sun, he's actually working with USDC. They're working on the Tron network. What is Justin like, by the way? And so they're expanding. I want to ask you, Ben, is Jerome Powell, Janet Yellen, are these people like basically agents of USDC, or like have they already like picked the winner behind the scenes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at what we're talking about. You got Tether, who got the lawsuit from New York, the financial district, the Southern District of New York, where all the traditional finance stuff lives. Think about it. All the traditional finance stuff lives in that one zip code, okay? Attacking Tether. They ultimately could not get the result they wanted. They wanted to put Tether out of business. That's exactly what they wanted to do. But they couldn't do it because no matter how many times you say they didn't have the money, if they did in fact have the money, it doesn't matter. And, obviously you've got Goldman Sachs, you've got Circle, you've got Digital Currency Group, you've got Coinbase now on Wall Street as an IPO. You also got Kraken, who's also talking about an IPO that's also, partly owned by the Digital Currency Group. You've got CoinDesk completely owned by Digital Currency Group, giving all the narrative about Tether is bad, USDC is good. Yeah, all these people are working together. USDC wins. It's already been decided.
Yeah, and it's like I said, you know, they kept asking him, show me the money. You know, it was like, yeah, they did show him the money. You know, I mean, maybe they didn't jump on a couch with it or anything, but they showed them the money. Go ahead, Rice.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I mean, there's a lot of people it's kind of gotten forgotten about because so much happens in the space, but the former chief legal officer at Coinbase ended up becoming the comptroller of the United States and the U.S. Treasury, who worked underneath Steve Mnuchin, who was from Goldman Sachs. So it's just when you see the infiltration and how it's taking place, it is just sickening. And this is why I would like to see people actually get involved on a political level when it comes to these things, because we are not aware of some of the things that have taken place, or there's not enough attention being brought to it. And I definitely want to shout out Ben for doing what he's doing with exposing Digital Currency Group for what they are and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think infiltration is a good word. You know, it's quite alarming, and if you're not alarmed, you're probably not paying attention. And we're going to end it with one rapid fire here. Let's just say 1 year's time. Will USDC pass USDT? Let's start from the reverse angle. CryptoStache. 1 year. Was USDC pass USDT?
No, I don't think so.
All right, Ben, what about you?
I think it eventually will, but I don't think it's going to be in 1 year.
Not 1 year. All right, Ben, what about you?
I'm also going to say no in the next 1 year, because you have to understand when we go to the bear market next year and it really does get bad, which we believe will happen, there's not going to be as much of a need to print new grants or to create new USDC. So I think we would really be looking more to the next cycle for it to pass the market cap.
Okay. And let's bring it to you. Rice, what do you say?
I'm in complete agreement so far with Stache and Ben 100%. I think that we're going to be seeing... Oh, no, 100, not at all. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of terrible things happening towards the end of this year, 100%. So it's
all right. And Rubens, what do you say? Next year or so, or looks may have lost your. You could sign it to us with the thumbs up or thumbs down with your fancy.
So. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now we can
you hear me? Okay. So I don't think it's definitely not next year, but when Circle does the IPO, which I think they're trying to do through a SPAC, that may help it, but not within the next year. That's too short of a time frame.
All right, and that's all we have time for today on Around the Blockchain. Like I say, we come to you Monday through Friday, bringing you the hottest topics live, 5 p.m. Eastern. And again, make sure you go in the description, check out the channel links. And it looks like Rice stole it from you, Ben, with that last comment with the infiltration. Yeah. You had it. You were right there. It was in your hands. And then it was a close shave. Once again, shout out to Legacy Shave. Rice, we're going to let you into about 30 seconds to a minute. Tell the people what they need to hear.
Well, I just, again, want to encourage people to really think about why you got involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. What does it mean for you, and what are you willing to do for it? Also, I woke up this morning with 9 emails from YouTube where they deleted 9 of my videos and gave me a second strike. I can't post videos for the next 2 weeks. I have a backup channel, RiceTVx 2, the sequel, so I would encourage people to subscribe to my backup channel.
All right. And you heard it here, RiceTVx 2. It's the sequel. And that's all we got time for you today, BitSquad. DZ out.